Hi, this is Mary Newman with A Productive Endeavor, and I'd like to read my current blog post entitled Hands-Free Mama, Week 2, Connectedness. Welcome back to my blog series where I'm sharing some valuable things I've learned from an amazing book by Rachel Macy Stafford called Hands-Free Mama. Today I'm sharing from Chapter 2, Making Purposeful Connection. Last week, and there's a link below in my blog post, I shared how I've been convicted lately in some ways I'm trying to be more intentional in connecting with my family. When I'm living with this intention, I'm absolutely more content and happy. I feel less distracted and present. I smile more. I'm trying to not just let the days pass by in survival mode. I'm enjoying life more, and I dare say my family is enjoying me more too. Would you be brave enough to ask your kids how you could be a better mom to them? Can you imagine their response? That is exactly what Rachel suggests doing. She started a journal that is passed between herself and her kids. I think this is a great idea if you don't have talkers or if your kids might be intimidated to give you feedback. She asked her kids for constructive criticism. Quote, "The truth hurts, but the truth heals and brings me closer to the person I aspire to be." Page 38. My kids already say I'm on my cell phone and computer too much. Although I limit my technology time and try to use it as a tool and not for entertainment, my nose is still in line far too often. Even with knowing this truth, I still don't always make wise decisions. That is something I need to work on a little more this week, especially with the kids getting out from public school for the summer break. So if you look at the picture below, you'll see my face when I'm looking at my cell phone and the computer's behind me. I'm not so friendly looking, and this is the face that my children see. Living hands-free is not about being perfect, nor is it about being hyper-focused on the people I love. It is simply about making a conscious effort each and every day to connect. Page 39. Rachel says to tell the kids that you're trying to change. Kids are really good at keeping us in check. In fact, my kids love telling me that I'm wrong. So they're the best support in all this. I'm scared to do this, but I will. I will tell my kids that I won't be on the phone at all between supper and bedtime. I'm going to start there and then figure out boundaries for other times a day when they're on their summer break. Because really, quote, "is whatever you're doing on the phone really more important than the human being at your table?" End quote. This doesn't apply to only the kids, but to marriage too. I know that when I ask my husband how his day is, I often only half listen if I have a phone in my hand. Partly out of boredom, if he goes on and sharing details of things I'm not familiar with or interested in. I'm just being honest. But mostly out of rudeness. I am not giving him the full attention I often demand of him. Talk about convicting. Quote, "I realized I needed to continually evaluate whether my Wi-Fi connection is taking precedence over my marriage connection." Page 45. I hate when my husband is on his gadget in the car. He always calls shotgun. Anyway, when I tell him how I feel, he has replied many times that if I want to talk, he'll listen. But the problem with his nose in a gadget is that he will never initiate the conversation. Likewise, hanging out at home, both in our gadgets, no one will start talking because we're both entertained. This has been a problem in my marriage for far too long. There are days when we literally don't talk too much. This is dangerous because a distance will grow if we don't nip it now. I love that Rachel brought all these issues to the surface so I can be aware and intentional with my man. After all, when my kids are grown, it'll just be the two of us again, Lord willing, and I genuinely like the guy who's creeping in the room right now. Going back to the car, Rachel talks about driving in the car with your family and how so many families are each doing their own thing. Kids with movies and or headsets, parents with music or podcasts, never mind parents who talk or text, which can be dangerous. She outlined so many ideas of how to initiate conversations with your kids in the car so you can use that time to connect. I love how this book gives such practical advice. Rachel says, quote, "I am simply the messenger on this hands-free journey, and it is by the grace of God and 4 little carpool girls that I have this message to give. If zoning out, being on autopilot, or popping in a DVD have become part of your drive time ritual, consider this tragedy. Conversations that will never happen. Concerns on your child's heart and mind you will never hear. Smiles in the rearview mirror you will never see." End quote. That's on page 49. I've been working on this one a while and it's been hard to make the change in the car. The kids fight more without the movies, and that's mainly because our DVD player broke in the car. They talk over each other and interrupt. Sadly, this just shows me that I haven't been so good at training and guiding them to be polite, so we are actively working on conversation manners. I realize as I type this, many people might not connect with my words or even care about these issues. If you feel at all disconnected with your family, then please check this book out. I highly recommend it because I'm sure there are other points that Rachel brings up that might apply to you better than my own personal takeaway. Below in my blog post, there are 2 links I'd love for you to check out. The first one is from Rachel, which I found that I wanted to share after reading it in her book. It offers incredible perspective on what we could miss out on because we know time flies. I also like the poem, which is called The Inner Dialogue of a Child, which hit really close to home and made my heart weepy for my kids. I want to be better for them. And it made me weepy for all the kids growing up utterly neglected because of helpful technology. So if we could all wake up. I pray the changes I make are lasting too. Hope you found something helpful in this. Thanks for swinging by.